I'm not sure if I'll get it right today, but then today is the only day. So I'll do my best. All right, St. Lucia, Bermuda.
Sure.
All right, I'll try my best. You hear me okay?
May I ask a question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm a bit concerned about our exam. I would like to probably pass 50 questions or have an idea of effects on the exam. Can you help me with
I'm not in the best position to do that, but Dr. Thor. Dr. Tortello, when she returns next week. When's the exam supposed to be? Right, she could better answer the question that you might have. Remember, I'm only guest lecturing today. I'm just guest presenting today. Is that all right?
Welcome.
Right. Repeat that, please. I'm not hearing the last thing. So can you allow it to just wait until next week, or write to go to the doctor to see that she could help to respond to that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right. Let's send her an email and she will respond. Okay?
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
But I know you can. I know the feeling. You can sometimes feel a little bit, overwhelmed. But I saw the exam some years ago. What's the name of this course? Yes. The exact name of the course. Right. I saw the exam some years ago, and right. I know. So it's doable. It's nothing for you to worry about. Just work with the material that. The exam, the one that I saw, I didn't know it was going to be here this time around. But the one I saw, it required that you write a few pages. Right. One or two some short answer questions, and maybe one essay, I think. Now, don't quote me. Don't say I said, because I'll be gone. Right? So, right. But I'm just going from what I taught the course with her 2 or 3 years ago, when we had a very big group. I mean, this exam was structured like that. Alright? Good. So it's possible you might have a question on what we are going to be talking about. A short answer question, maybe. Today is going to take the form of my spending some time with you, talking a lot. You'll talk for a little bit, and if you need to disturb me, by all means, interrupt, and we can discuss as we go along. And then at around 6, little after 6 o'clock, the class goes on till 7, right?
Yes.
A little after that, we'll have another guest. Okay. He's just going to give his experience and his testimonial and what we're talking about. Alright, so it's going to be me first for the first 2 hours or so. Then we're going to have someone else talking to you for a little. Alright? That's the session for today. The topic is the arts in education, modern intelligences, that's correct? Right? And I want to start by thinking about our own school. I assume everybody is in the classroom, some shape or form. Everybody? All right. If you're not in the classroom, just put your hand up. If you're not teaching, all right, so you don't teach at all. But those who actually do teach, put your hand up. Let me just see. All right. Some teach from time to time. Alright, the challenge we have with the arts is so very often at the end of the semester or when it's Christmas time, the question comes, can you get an item? Can you get a performance from the choir? Am I right? Or can we get a cultural item? Right? Correct? And one of the reasons I have to run off because I'm going to running across to next door to a poetry workshop, and they've asked me to play. So they wanted a musical item. Right? So we have graduations, we need these items, and we want the choir to perform and the band to perform, and then we have Christmas coming around, and we need this type of presentation as well. And that happens, then we probably forget about the arts and don't worry about it. Or it comes around to festival time, and the students are going to enter, and then we pick them up and they do well, and it's all together sing, those who watch that program, or any choir competition in your islands. JCDC, Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, that's a festival in Jamaica. And they perform and bring glory to our schools, and then we don't worry about it much again. Right? So part of what I'll be talking about is justifying the arts, justification for the arts. Also, I'll be looking at the general value of arts programs overall. And I'll be talking about some of the existing research, some interesting research that justify or also may not justify the presence of the art. I just try to be balanced. Okay, so if you were in the United States, if you're in the United States in around the early 90s, and you were to go into one of those libraries in some particular states, a children's library, for example, they would have the children would be forced to sit for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes and put an earphone over their ears. And guess what they had to listen to? They were forced to listen to some music. And not just any music. They were forced to listen to some Mozart. Music of Mozart. Alright? For about 10 minutes before the computer, they could actually log on to the computer. Alright? Because what was the trend and the craze at the time is that was the catchphrase, Mozart makes you smarter. If you ever heard it before. Mozart makes you smarter. Mozart would have been Mozart would have been a genius from 200-300 years ago. And he was a composition, really brilliant composer. And research had started to come out that was glorifying or that was making the point of a Mozart effect. The Mozart effect was really saying that if you engage in music or if you engage in the arts, you're going to be actually smarter. Right? You're going to do better. So everybody was having their children listen to music and some were listening to music from the baby before the baby is born. They're listening to classical music. Not all reggae music, not soca music, what they were looking for. Classical music, because the argument is that they want smart children. Right? And it leads to the question, is that really so? Is it that music is going to cause children to do better? Are they going to be smarter children because they engage in music, or because they engage in dance, or because they engage in drama? That was the trend. Eventually, research would come to confirm that and or to disagree with it. As a matter of fact, early research had actually informed that. The Mozart Makes You Smarter movement came out of a researcher. Her name is Rauscher. Right? Rauscher, R-A-U-S-C-H-E-R. She would have done some preliminary research and she would have suggested that the music in particular does lead to smarter children. What are your thoughts? Let me just ask quickly. before I continue to talk about. Do you think that involvement in the arts in any shape or form leads to you doing better, or does it take away from your success in the arts? Yes.
I think it enhances because it sort of works on your entire being. Music, it allows you to explore, it puts you into different moods. It just creates a whole sense of allow you to be aware of seeing, smelling, tasting, all the sensual signals coming out. Also, when you are involved in the arts, it exposes you to different genres.
Okay, so the involvement, exposure, you said is a smell. I don't know where you get that with music, but we will talk about it. So, right? Let me take somebody from Bermuda first and then take another. What are your thoughts? Anybody from Bermuda? Can you speak up a little bit, please?
Classical music activates certain areas in the brain that allow you to retain more information. So, yeah.
Oh, so you're speaking to research. You're speaking to research that says, look, listening to music activates particular areas in the brain that allows you to retain more information. That's what you just said, right?
Sure. It was something that listening to classical is beneficial to the learning.
All right, and that's not incorrect. It does stimulate particular aspects of the brain, areas in the brain. If you listen or if you play music, it does adjust your brain differently. But then, suppose you were to engage in kicking the football or so, it probably uses another aspect of your brain, doesn't it? Or if you were to engage in math, it uses another aspect of your brain. Does it mean that your entire brain is going to be a more brilliant person? That is really the question we get. But let's see that.
So, adding to the fact that she said from some research I've seen where they based like music and math, and I see where, especially depending on the genre of music that you're listening to, it helps in the case of relaxation. I've seen that myself. I've experienced that where you're relaxed and you're allowed to, okay, when I'm reading, like I've been reading history, and I can't listen to music because I'm not very well focused on what I'm reading because it's supposed to be a song. Which is why I'm doing some math, and I have to get the formulas together, understand it, and then it's the type of the genre of music, and I'm very well relaxed, and I'll be there, and I'm going through my formula, and I'm working it out, and easily I get to the answer. In ours, same way, a form of relaxation. There are many persons who they love drawing things, and they will take a break from doing some assignments, and they'll go and they'll draw something like the technical drawing, and you realize that you're doing some drawing and you're doing some form of activity. So you're doing quite a number of things that helps to relax you. I have seen it. I read.
Okay, so you're arguing that it helps to relax. So it's really a diversion.
Right.
You're seeing it as a diversion and as a background activity. Did I get St. Lucia yet? St. Lucia is there? Take one comment from St. Lucia. So Bermuda already, right? Alright. That's what it says. Alright, no comment from St. Lucia? Alright. So there are some clear identifiable characteristics of music, and there are clear benefits which we can maybe put in the category of musical benefits and non-musical benefits, or artistic benefits and non-artistic benefits. The reason why I might focus on music so much is that multiple intelligences outline, which you probably would have read, you realize that one of them is actually musical intelligence, right? So the gardener, the theorist, would have identified that and given it its own category. Alright. However, let's just get into it a little bit. The involvement in something like band or choir or the dance group. Very often teachers do not want to allow students. You have GSAT. Can you imagine? You have GSAT to do and the child comes and says they want to go to piano class or go to ballet class. Right? You can't have time for that. It has to be GSAT is going to be most important. Or whatever the exam is across in your country. GSAT is the exit exam to get you out of primary school, elementary level to secondary level. Right? So what is happening is that so many children now in Jamaica are trying to pick up back on their music. You know, they would have stopped going to music class or stopped going to drama or dance class. Alright, they would have stopped.
Mute the microphone, please.
Alright. So they would have stopped going to classes for a while, for the last 6 or so months, and would have fallen behind because look, you cannot use the valuable time that should be spent on math and English and these other subjects, spending it on dance and drama and music. Right? That is a general thought. And then you have a class, and then the music teacher comes or the choir master comes and wants to take up the children, to take them to some festival, right? You look like you agree with me. Take them to festival, and every day they're gone to practice. And when do they get time to be serious about the things that matter? When do they get time to be serious about their schoolwork and so on, the quote-unquote academics, and not the extra curriculum? And then you may have a case like I had as a youngster, when I had parents who really didn't think that it would not countenance me going off to the music school, as good a pianist or guitarist as I was as a teenager. No, that's not the way to go. So I came and would have come to UE here and studied economics instead, right? And then would have somehow gone back to teach in the high school system. But while here, instead of doing all the econ that I should be doing, I was there playing music and playing your music and being involved with the choirs and so forth, all of the stuff that I do here. So less of the regular class, but I was doing more. And somehow eventually it came back a full circle. The economics degree is there, but I still ended up back to doing music and music education. And then there are so many other people who end up taking that route. They end up not doing the arts because, yes, it's risky. Right? It's not as well. The argument is that you might not be able to get a job. You may not be able to fit into society as well if you did the arts. So to get back to the classroom, the student want to leave and go off to practice or go off to festival, and we as teachers sometimes in the other subjects we don't want to allow this because it's taking up too much of their time. The same argument goes with sports. And if a school has a budgetary issue, a budgetary constraint, the one that gets cut first, which areas usually get cut? The arts, well, usually PE, physical education gets cut first, and then followed by arts program. Right? Now, the researcher Rocha would have actually done research that suggested that by doing being engaged in the arts, being engaged in music, you were a better mathematician and you were better at English. She was actually suggesting that. So the craze came, like I said at the beginning in the 90s, where everybody wanted to get smarter children, right? Then another researcher in the mid-90s, Costa Gio, let's make a note. Costa Gio, you can look it up if you wish. COSTA dash GIOMA. Another researcher, Costa Gio. She would have done another piece of a very important study. Let me talk about it. Part of the thing is that in previous studies, they were looking at people who were involved in the arts, yes. And these people did well and did better than the other students. They were doing better than the other students. Those who were involved in the arts, and those who were involved in playing music and going to piano classes and so on. Now, but one of the things is that the whole issue of cause effect. Why is it that they may have been doing better? Children who had parents who took them to ballet class, and children who had parents who took them to piano lessons. Right? What could we say about those parents? If we were to really try to model the cause, what is really the cause? Is it actually the fact that they were going to the music class that was really causing them to do better?
I think it has to do with the wholeness of the growth of the child. Because you really want your child. I mean, it has to do with the holistic development of a child. Because as a parent, you really don't want your child to be too much of an academic child.
You don't?
Well, for me,
okay.
I would like my child to be well-rounded.
Alright.
I mean, not a bookie.
Alright. So,
exposed, I mean, flexible.
Alright, so there's a philosophy that you think that parents have. Online there, what do you think it is really? Let me ask a question. This parents of children will take them to ballet and music class and piano class and so forth. Is it anything to do with the parents that cause these children to do better than their counterparts?
Yes.
Yeah, like I saying, it's really.
Plus socioeconomic. These things are expensive.
Alright, here's the point. So two important points I made. It was the parental involvement and socioeconomics. Right? The suggestion here is that going to dance class, going to ballet class, going to piano lessons, and swimming class would be sort of expensive. Right? It's expensive. So it would suggest then that the people, the students who actually were involved in the arts were self-selecting themselves. You follow that phrase? They were self-selecting themselves because they were from parents that were already interested in their development. Any parent that is going to send the child to the dance class and piano class and get them involved in the musical theater, that those parents are probably very interested. Those parents are probably going to make sure that the children do their homework, don't they? And take them to extra lessons. So I know some parents who are taking their children to ballet class and then going to GSAT class and going to swimming. And a friend of mine is running a major taxi service. He complains every Saturday. And he has to pick up the daughter here and go to this other one and go to the other one. But these are parents who will sit down and make sure that they actually do the homework. So the studies then that were actually taking the artistic groups and comparing them with the non-artistic groups was not really taking into consideration that one group probably was self-selecting itself, because these children were probably going to be already brighter, having better spiritual support. Following me? Everybody? Right? So they had better spiritual support from day one. So then, Costa Giome started to look at this scenario to see what would really be the case. Costa Giome would start to look at this scenario to see if, alright, suppose we were able to remove those elements. The socioeconomic consideration would be one important one, right? And the whole thing of parental involvement and so on. I'm trying to get a level playing field to start out her research, so that it wasn't biased in the first place. It didn't get a group of children who love music and were good at everything already, and have to be good at everything and good at music, or good at dance, but good at still everything. And some children like that. Good at music, dance, maths, chemistry, every single thing that you're just good at. It didn't take that. What she did is she went into the inner city, area of I think it was Montreal. It's a Canadian-based study, where she actually identified a whole set of children, I think about 200 of them, or a little more, who were of low socioeconomic status. So they weren't rich. How would she know that they have low socioeconomic status? In that context, she was able to look at the students who were on free lunch programs. In our context in Jamaica, to be what program? To be students who are on a path. What does path mean? In Jamaica, something, but it's a subsidized assistance program for children who are in need. And you have those, what's the program over there in any other countries? Any governments run program to work for children who are in need? Then Bermuda?
Yes, I know there are some groups that volunteer like take breakfast.
All right. So you could, so there's a scientific way, there's an objective way then of finding the children who are of lower socioeconomic status. You could do that if you were to do a study. You could do that in Bermuda, right? Could you? It's not government. Do you have any government support systems for children who are of lower economic status? Okay. All right. Well, good for you. Wonderful. Right. But in this particular study, she was able to identify all of these. Pardon? Part. What is part? Yes. Part is
program of advancement through health and education.
Okay. So our local structures, program of advancement through health and education. Right? Really, if you're on part, it means that you probably are not affluent. You don't have a lot of money. Right? There are some challenges. Right? It's general. Are you saying some people haven't done it? Right. But then it's all about a rigorous set of needs testing, and they have to put you on it, they have to question you and do all kinds of things to find out if you really deserve to be. Right. To determine if you really deserve to be on the program. So a similar program, school lunch program, and they would get certain benefits, and it was in the inner city. So she was able to get over 200 children who, so would have done that way, should have taken care of the issue of socioeconomic inequality. Fair? It's not about comparing the scores of the rich children with the poor children and saying, look here, all of these rich children, all of these children who do music do better. But she's actually getting one level, students from one level playing. Alright, and then now, here's what she did. She was able to get funding that allowed her to place pianos in the homes of over 100 of these children. Right. So she was able to put that piano in so many of these homes so that the children could actually practice on the instrument. Right? It's a big project. Right? Very, very fun. And then there was that group, and then there was a control group. Following me now? There's a control group that didn't get the pianos, and there's a group that got the instruments in the rooms. Not only did she do that, she was able to now put them onto a program of music lessons. So there were a set of teachers, all teaching the same curriculum, all trained the same way, teaching these students, and they had to actually be enrolled in piano classes. Alright? So then now she was getting one similar group, similar performance. At the beginning of the study, she would have pre-tested. What do you mean? Pre-test, she would have done a test at the beginning and would have tested them on their math, on their English, on their spatial abilities, on some other area. Self-esteem, a lot of the things she would have done. Preliminary tests before involving them in the program. Is that my God? And then, so she engaged them in this music. What to put up there? All right. So she would have engaged them in music for that period, for a period of time. So here are some of the results. After the first year, what do you think happened?
Improvement in those students.
Which students did better?
The experimental.
The experimental group did better. Yes, you're correct. The group that was getting the piano lessons, after 1 year of piano lessons, all of them started out at the same level. All of them are poor children. They are the ones who started getting piano lessons, actually showed improved higher scores in math, higher scores in English, right? Language scores, I said, and math scores, higher abilities in terms of spatial abilities. This showed that after 1 year. Going good so far, right? What happened after 2 years? Anybody could guess?
The control group now.
Yeah, the control group. What?
Became an experiment.
No, she didn't change the design of the study. The design of the study didn't change.
They were engrafted in it.
No, the design didn't change. So they didn't change. Right. So after the results alone, after 2 years, the trend continued. The control group, the children getting the experimental group, children getting the piano lessons, actually continued to outshine the others who never were not getting. And maybe had she stopped the study at 2 years, the media was all ready to pounce on this. Right. But guess what? After 3 years, something strange happened. Huh? What happened after 3 years? Any suggestion? Any guess? After 3 years, no, there was no decline.
I thought they excelled above their grade level.
The experimental group, no, not really. The experimental group did not decline, but they continued to improve. But suddenly, the control group caught it after 3 years.
They started doing.
No, they never did. Remember, the control group never got the music lesson. She gave them little things like Walkmans. This was in the 90s. Walkman and what you call it, MP3, little things like that. So to be in the group, and we would meet with them from time to time. Some of them would drop out, but generally they were there. So after 3 years, everybody was back on the same thing. Except that's in math and English. In math and English. Right. Those are the two main ones. So they were back on the same level. So the result from that is yes, it would have been nice if she were able to say, look, the music students did way better than the others after 2 years. So this was a big study, a longer period, study over a longer period of time. However, the control group, the experimental group, did show superiority in particular activities. One of them is spatial intelligence. What is spatial intelligence? Let me take my solution, lady. What is spatial intelligence? All right. Huh? Spatial intelligence. You have to visualize and repeat that. Visualize and imagine what? All right. Images, right? All right. Fair. Any other thing about what spatial intelligence is? Anybody else? Creative. Yes, you want me to say? All right. Right, so the person with good spatial intelligence is able to realize that if they move this here, and put that over there, and move that over there, and move that around, they can see the whole of it fitting in. They can come into this room and see how the room is going to look. And they can draw, plan, and visualize the whole thing. Right? The architects probably have good spatial intelligence. Right? So the designers, right? So what that was one of the areas in which they saw clear the musician, the music group, the experimental group was clearly better at doing particular puzzles, just what you can say. Solving particular problems and puzzles and so forth than the control group. The overall, the big point though, the big point out of that study was, look, students who did the arts, unlike what was popularly, what might have been put forward, was that the students were actually no less off, no worse off. They were in some cases, they started out even being better off in their math and English than the students who were not engaged in the arts. That was one of the things that we could pull from it. And of course, there is a particular intelligence that is enhanced. Yes, it is true that doing particular arts is going to develop a particular aspect of your brain. Right? It's going to develop some of the lobes in the front of your brain, probably, than those who don't engage in that. But of course, it's also true that if you engage in some other thing like some other activity, another aspect of your brain is going to be exercised. All right. So yes. Yes.
So what is the main reason why after 3 years things like this happen?
Repeat that, please. What would be the main reason why?
Yeah, after 3 years, the experimental group never making more progress.
No, they did continue to make progress, just that the control group was able to catch up. You follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but why would that be like that?
That's a good question. I wondered about it too when I read the study. I'm not sure if I can't remember if there were suggested answers, but what I can do is send the study to your lecturer, so you can have a read of it yourself. But what would you think? Any suggestion you think could be out of it?
No, I really don't, but I was just thinking that those who listen to the Walkman, maybe it takes a time for them to get to the, I don't know.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. But that may be something that was done in future studies, or maybe something for future studies. Why is it that one group should shot ahead of the other? right? The music groups not ahead of the non-musical. Subsequent studies, nonetheless, have still gone on to find that students in aspects of the arts tend to do just as well, or sometimes do better in different areas of their engagement. Now there is engagement in the art is involved with a number of other elements. Let's start with some of them. If you are to be in a choir or a band, some of the things that you have to do. To play in a band, you have to do what? Just help me with some of them. You have to plan, alright? Plan, what kind of planning?
You have to plan a performance.
Alright?
Right? You have to practice.
Alright? So then, to plan and to practice, that probably suggests that you are developing skills of what? Organizing. But very often, some of these children are very busy. They have to go to piano class, go to dance, go to karate, go to swimming. Then they have to do find time to do their schoolwork, and they're doing well at it, and so they have to also organize. So it probably suggests discipline. That being involved in many of these activities, not just the arts, but some of these other activities, requires an enhanced level of discipline. Correct? What else you might look at? If you are in a band or singing a choir, what else you have to do to operate in that context? Any of my, let's go back to Berkeley. Yeah, go ahead. They learn teamwork, all right? So team building skills will become one of them. You also learn to, as a group, and everybody wants to hear themselves, and everybody wants to make noise and so forth. What does the music group have to become? Self-control, you say? All right? Harmony. Responsibility, and very, very good. And also, as if a football team, they also learn how to depend on each other, don't they? So if I'm playing my part, repeat that. I didn't hear that. Press the mic earlier. Yeah? Okay. I didn't hear it.
It's okay.
Alright. Good. But they learn to depend on each other. Alright? So they have to realize that if I do my section, the other section is going to come in. This saxophone is going to come in with their section. And if saxophone came in at the right time, I'll be able to play my guitar at the correct time, and everything is working together. Right? The dancer realizes that if he's supposed to catch the girl, what up? And she jumps off into the air, he has to catch her. And she has to not be stiff and cautious, because it won't look good if she's half jumping, don't it? She has to really leap forward into the air and abandon all care with the expectation that he's going to catch her. So it develops a number of flexibility.
Like even with the band, playing the drum, having to control your arms and your legs, because you have to find rhythm, harmony based on whatever you're playing for. Whether it's you have all sorts of different things to play. You can play all genre. You have different kinds of piano where you keep your feet. You put in all the organs. You have violin and all that. So
you think that there's some exercise to it?
Exercise,
definitely. All right. But certainly to coordinate, yes, if you're playing, all right. We would be some of these come out. So some of these are non-artistic benefits to being involved in that. So learn how to listen to the director, to look at the director, to be involved in theater, and to follow clear instruction. The director tells you to go right here, and this stage right, and do this particular movement, and give this particular expression. Right? And so they're able to develop a number of non-musical or non-artistic behavior. Alright. Alright, if you say like that. And some of these clearly redound to the benefit of the student. Is that correct? Right. The student becomes a more disciplined, organized person. Understanding how organization works, understanding that there's a director, and then everybody might have a view as to how high you should lift up your hand. Some may think lift it up as high as this, some may think right down here. But the director makes a final decision that is supposed to be here. This person is right, that person is right, but it's up to the director to decide that you're going to do it this way. And everybody is going to do it that way for it to be uniform. So they learn to understand all of these things. And the argument is that by being involved in the arts, in groups, or even by yourself, just to learn the discipline, you benefit. And it goes on to affecting other subjects, right? Now, so that's one side of the thing. On the other hand, we have the arts, though. Can you experience the arts and not necessarily always look at it in terms of some other subject? Let me say that again. Can you experience the arts for its own sake? Can you enjoy? Can you experience music for music's sake, for its own sake? Do we always have to look at learning to dance because we want to be better at literature? No. Do we always have to learn to, do we ever say, okay, I want to learn to do math because I want to be better at English? Or we don't want to say, I want to learn to do biology because I want to be better at Spanish or some other. Sometimes we learn a subject because we just want to learn about it. But we end up sometimes in this cycle, which is where I started, of seeking to justify the place of the arts, always in terms of other subjects. So I'm still going to go back to justifying it again. But I want to just switch gears a little bit. Looking to see if we can enjoy the arts as just the arts. Can we enjoy a song and the song sounds nice and we just love the song and never have to think about, I wonder if this is going to make me a better mathematician? Alright, Bermuda? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I know in there is a
yeah. So go ahead, Bermuda, you're saying?
But no, I know you're comparing the math where it's trying to help the students to memorize some things for some. Like, for example, if I got the formula,
alright.
your formula.
Okay, well you're back at the same thing that I'm saying. If we can try not, if we can see if there's benefit, to not linking you with any other subject. St. Lucia, what are your thoughts? St. Lucia? Do we always have to link the arts with some other thing?
I don't think so, because it's there for entertainment.
Repeat that, please.
Music, art, drama, all these things. It's also still a purpose of entertainment. So, with entertainment, I don't, like, when you think of being entertained, so you could also use it just for entertainment.
All right, for entertainment. All right, that's the one at the top right. Okay. On the top right. All right, so you're saying you will use the arts as its own entertainment. Have you ever been? All right, and maybe even more. Have you ever been? Oh, so we agree. We just watch a movie, we can watch a movie, and we see the drama and all of that, and we actually watch the show and really start to fall in love with the character. And we hate this one so much, don't it? It's an art at play here, and we hate this one. If we run into who's the guy? What is the latest one then?
I'm on Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
It's still there.
No, that's Santa Barbara. The one going to the president, American president. Scandal. We sort of like Pope, but we hate which one? It's somebody to hate, right? Right? Alright, some people don't know Scandal. You know Scandal in St. Lucia, right? You watch it? It's a series, right? Right. So we hate some of these and Generation. I have some friends, I have some people around here. Every Sunday they're watching Generation. Right? So you also all actually forget that this is a movie. Sometimes. And the thing is so powerful. Right? The way that the drama is presented. And you listen to a song, and every time you hear the song, it transports you to 20 years before, or 15 years ago, when you were engaged in a particular activity. Every time you hear that particular song, you remember. And you remember, and it's a pleasant memory very often. Sometimes maybe it's a sad memory, right? But, all right, somebody's giving me some songs. Here are Dennis Brown and Kenny Rogers, right? So it's the music or the dance or the drama has its own personalities and characteristics that don't always have to depend on looking at justifying them in terms of some other subject. Right? You can actually engage and experience the arts because it's something that you benefit from, and it entertains you, but it not just entertains you, it also causes you to think. It causes you to be a better person, right or wrong? Right? It's part of your education. You learn geography. You can also learn about music. You can also learn how to dance or to sing. And you learn it, and at the end of the time at school, you stop doing it and you go on to your career, but you would have engaged another discipline. Right? You can now go to and you would have widened your perspective. You can go to the opera, and it can make sense to you. Because remember now, the arts are concerned with three main aspects. Right? There is the creative part, where you're actually creating new art. You're actually composing or creating something new. Right? That's the one aspect of it. So the composers, the Bach, the Beethoven, some of the great choreographers, or some of the screenplay writers and so forth, they're actually creating something. The ones who are making the movies and so forth, they're creating something. Then there are the other group, which is the other group. Quickly, somebody tell me the next group. There are two other groups. We have the people who are creating the arts, and then there's a group that is performing. These are the singers, so we have the songwriters and so forth who write the song, create the music, and do all of that. Then sometimes it's the one and the same, but then we have the performers who actually take this now, bring it on stage. After the script writer writes this brilliant movie, the actor is going to go and interpret it, and he's going to bring it to life on stage in his or her acting. So we have the performer. And then the other group, which many of us are, what? The C word, the consumer. right? So we have, and we need also to promote intelligent music creators. We want people to be sensible, can create good music, can create good dance, can create good screenplays and write wonderful books, right? You want that. You also want very good performers, right? Singers, the Tess and Chins and the Bob Marley's and the over by St. Lucia, I'm going to go my age, the David Brothers and that particular St. Lucian performer that I like. His name slips me. No. But he was on Jazz Festival this last 2 days ago. We want these performers, but then you also want intelligent consumers who can actually appreciate if it's going to be complicated pieces or simple pieces. They can appreciate whatever is put there, right? And as you get training, as the children get exposed, they become a better audience for the same artistic expression, right? All right. So let's talk about any comments or questions on that so far? How many other groups? I wanted to move to a slightly different aspect of it. Any other groups? The group to the bottom right, is it okay?
Can you hear me?
Oh, that's good. Oh, there we go. All right, any comments? All right. Good, that's us. All right. Dominica? Did I hear from you as yet? Montego Bay?
Hi, I've been waiting.
Yeah. All right.
Hello?
Turn on your microphone. Montego Bay, turn on your mic.
And I'm trying to talk. Hello?
We're listening.
Oh, you're listening. We can't see you though.
Oh, that's not
Oh, but you're hearing me?
Which group is that? That's cool.
Hello, from Montego Bay. Can you hear us? Hello?
No, the connection is kind of this bad.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's go back now to the way we were at the beginning. The whole thing of justifying the arts, because one of the things that we grapple with is the value, and like I said, one of the programs that will get cut early if there's a funding, it's a PE program. If there's a funding crisis, physical education gets cut, and then or curricular, right, and then the arts is going to be following shortly after. Right. There's one speaker, one researcher, who seeks to make a very important argument. His name is Dan, D-A-N-P-I-N-K, Dan Pink. You can look him up. But I'll try to talk about some of what he has to say real quick. In terms of the way in which the workforce is organized, he actually takes the arts and makes the argument that, look, we need the arts to make people better suited for the 21st century working world and workforce. He points out that we have, right as we know, there are two sides to the brain. There is the left side and the right side. And the mathematical, the linear, the logical section of the brain, the aspects of our brain that requires us to reason with mathematics, logical, linear, repetitive, would be which side of the brain? Which side of the brain? Tell Lucia, which side of the brain?
The left side, the right side. Hello? Hello?
Which side?
Left side.
Yeah. Guess it's either left or right.
Left.
Huh? The correct one. Somebody says the correct one. The left side of the brain is responsible for mathematics and linear operations and operations that go in sequential operations and logical thinking. All of that is governed by the left side of our brain. The gentleman argues, the argument is that we definitely need that side of the brain. We cannot survive without engagement and without being comfortable with that side of our brain. Alright? The point is, the reality is that 100 years ago, machines would have replaced our muscles. 100 years ago, correct? Right? And then, right now, however, technology and computers is seeking to replace what? Not our muscles, but what? Much of our brains is being replaced by technology. And the typical phone has a lot of so much technology that we have to be looking differently at how we teach everything. Right? Everything. We have to be looking differently. And we have to be changing it every so often. We have to be changing it. Huh? We have to be changing it every so often. Right? So the argument is that, look, we need the left brain capability. They are very, very important for survival in this 21st century and in this 21st century workforce. That's the argument. However, as important as they are, as necessary as they are, he's arguing that they are not sufficient. Just having the left brain capabilities is not sufficient to make one most effective in this sector. The argument is that persons who have developed the right brain are always going to be at a competitive advantage. The right brain involves what? Language and what? Let me hear from my friend. St. Lucia first, yeah? Involves what? Dominica, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Things like creativity.
Yeah.
Expressing your emotions.
Alright, so the emotive, creativity.
Yeah, intuition and those things.
Alright. Bobby, let's hear you. Bobby.
It's funny, but it said that the males use the left side of the brain.
What?
And the females use the right.
The males use the left side and the females, yeah, that's some type of thing that the males are probably better at physics and math and so forth. But we know that that is changing a whole lot. And that's the way that is now. Right? Maybe females are more sensitive, right? A little bit more sensitive than men. But the reality of it is that the argument is that we need for the right side to be creative, to be emotive, to have good interpersonal skills, to not be robots, right? To have feeling, right? To be able to empathize. All of these things are right brain related. And similar, and one of the ways in which you get to develop your right brain is through engagement in the arts. That's the main argument he makes. He points to the fact that where there is a country like, he refers to India, a country with a whole lot of people, a billion people, and points out that there are so many very brilliant technicians and brilliant programmers and so forth, right there in India. Points also that if about 10% of their economy, of their population, is very well educated. 10% of India's population is very highly educated. That's about how many people? A billion people, that would be 100 million people already. Can you imagine? 100 million people, if the 90% is not educated, doesn't become a programmer, doesn't have a second degree, you already have a whole lot of highly educated who are able to program and be able to do all of these left brain activities. What is going to distinguish? What is going to make us not just send all our work to India? Now, right now, if you I don't know if you have noticed if it's the case, but you dial the telephone company, one of the telephone people, to get something fixed on your phone, and you hear who's answering.
Yeah, some different accent.
Yeah, not all local people. It's going all the way. But technology allows you to talk to people all over. So some technician, some faraway place, is able to take your call and is able to tell you exactly what to do. Right? They're able to outsource all of that. Any job is arguing that is linear, that is methodology, whatever the word, right? Methodological, right? A portion was stumbling on that word the other day. Any job that is methodical, I want that word. Any job that is sequential, that is linear, that is structured that way, is arguing that you can end up sending such a job to the cheapest provider anywhere across the world. That is the argument. The job that you cannot just send to the cheapest provider would be which one? Something that requires you to be creative, something that requires you to be innovative, come up with new styles and new ways of thinking. That's the argument he's making. He goes on to even suggest that, look, something in professions that are as august and as sophisticated, if I may, as law. It's something like law. If you have a divorce, the example that was given, a divorce, an uncontested divorce, two people get married and they just decide that they don't want to be with each other again. And instead of going, you go to a lawyer and the lawyer will charge you in Jamaica here is about 90,000, almost 1,000 US equivalent, right, to do that. Right? A student here, if you really look about it, you can actually go through the steps. Okay. If you go online, you can see how to really fill out the paperwork to do a divorce. No squabbles about land or anything. And you can fill out the paperwork. It becomes a routine activity that the lawyer probably gives to his paralegal or the secretary to just fill out the form. And right now you can go online and you can download a package for $199 plus tax. DivorceMe.com, right? Or for a 3-step divorce. That's the argument. So something as sophisticated as being involved in some legal maneuver, he's saying that it is actually going to the cheapest provider because it is any aspect of it that becomes routine is now able to be done. The computer is able to do it for you. The argument is that the computers now are up to now are not able to replace our brain. So being creative if you would have developed a level of creativity, you are still at the cutting edge. And then the argument is also that in many professions, in medicine, they're trying to get people who have good observational skills. That's for argument. And where do they send them? In order to get into a whole host of medical schools. They know, well, as part of the program, they send them to what? To do art courses in art. Why are they having them do art courses? Because they want them to have very good observational skills. Where they are looking at art and looking at detail, looking at paintings and be able to describe them. Engineers, for example, they all have to be learning to play instruments, right? Because they don't want boring-looking buildings. They want buildings that have life and have artistic elements and are keen and lovely buildings, right? So that's some of the arguments that Mr. Pink makes in support of the arts in this year in 21st century. All right, so that's part of that. So let's take it home now to really back to our education situation. As teachers, people learning to create lessons, learning to teach. How can we incorporate something to think about? I'm not going to just give you a quick activity, right? To incorporate the arts in some of our lessons, because we may not always be in a situation where we can get a music teacher, get a dance teacher. But we also find that our children can't learn some of the math and can't learn some of the other stuff that we're giving them. But you give them one of the DJ, the cartel, and they just reel it off, no problem. Right? How can we utilize some of the elements of the arts to help us in teaching some of the other subjects? So I'm back at that. So where we looked at the arts just for learning it for its own sake, but also to help us with some of the other subject areas. I'm going to take one or two quick suggestions. Let's take one from each school, then I'll give you something to do. So let's pick up with you, St. Lucia. St. Lucia?
Yes.
How can you incorporate the arts in some lessons? Just give me an example.
Dramatization, role playing.
Role play. Elaborate a little bit more.
In history, you can have them in SS. In history and on the SS, you can have them role play the different topics, like go back in time.
Right.
And so,
Okay.
English and literature,
Poetry.
yeah.
All right. So you said in poetry or history. Role play. All right. And I said that one. Let me take one more. Let me take Luke from Bermuda. Bermuda, how could you use that? An example.
One thing is that it's word in the song to compensate. I know the brother has to force it to song and it gets
Could you say that again a little slow, please? We didn't get it. Just a little slow.
In the program, it proved it and then change the word of selection and from facts. And also, every year they have competitions to reach best of.
All right. So using changing words of a song to help to memorize stuff. All right. Let's take Dominica. Same question.
Yes, what comes to mind is, for example, if you wanted to release of a function, we can use the first letters and like acrostic so they can use it to sync. For example, let me say examples of electromagnetic spectrums.
Yeah.
So we can say G for gamma, X for X-ray, and use that to form words so they can think. So you can always remember from the first letter in each list.
All right, good. Jamaica, one, yes.
One of the things that we've done in our class, I teach IT, and one of the things that we've done is when we have a particular topic, we open it to the students and say, you come back and you present, but you can use one of these arenas and we choose something that they haven't seen before. So it's not just write an essay, it's not act out a script, it's record something when they come back and play the video, or you come back and you perform something, it's an original song or original beat or something along those lines. And we've had very good feedback on that.
Oh, good. All right. Okay. So then, let's take 10 minutes. Here's what I want you to do for me, real quick. I'm going to just come back together. Use the examples you suggested, or any other, if you want to change. Let's pick and just group up. If you can, just give me about 6 or 7 steps to the main part of a lesson. I don't want the whole lesson plan. Just take 5 or 6 steps that you're just going to ask how you could utilize. So you're just going to give me the topic you're trying to teach and see how you could incorporate a particular artistic expression in helping to teach it. Is that understood? Could you do that for me? Write them down for me and let's just report and see how that could work. If you can do it, like sing it, you can write the song, that would be nice. Or if you can do the dramatic thing and we can watch you, that would be great as well. Is that okay? Can you do that for me? Alright, now let me split in 2 groups. Can I get 2 groups in Jamaica here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So does somebody just one of you? Oh, we have 4 there? And you're 6, so 1 person go back there. Go ahead. If you wish. Alright, so can we do that in 10 minutes real quick? St. Lucia, you good? So just choose the topic, subject here on the topic, and see what kind of artistic expression you could utilize to help to bring it to life.
I don't have that.
How are you? Right now? How are you coming? Bermuda? St. Lucia, you done? Huh? Dominica? You guys, Dominica, don't be finished?
Yes, sir. Our scribe is at the conference.
Alright. Yeah.
We multitask. What's going on?
Security is tight on the campus here, so that
Yeah?
it covers all the place there.
Sorry, can't
Someone remember the judge one is coming to talk. Right now, 6 o'clock. Yeah, he's at number 30. What? No, man, I'm talking about this car. Oh, not Obama. You know you're going? Going? To Obama.
So how we go?
I don't know. No, I'm not. I don't want to. I'm just going.
Okay.
Alright, the other groups, are you coming? Let's wrap it up now and let's see or hear from you. Dominica? Can you answer? St. Lucia?
We're not ready yet.
You're not ready yet? Bermuda?
Yes, ma'am, here.
Are you ready? Okay. All right. All right. Let's wrap this up now and hear from the group real quick. All right. Dominic, can we start with you? All right, let's get your attention. Let's get one of the two groups in Jamaica. Let's take one of the Jamaican groups to start with. All right, let's take the back group here. Oh, but we can't see.
This fabulous group.
Oh, do I just turn the camera? What does I'll just come out to the front.
No. My camera people will turn this fabulous. That's our official name.
All right, come on, let's come out. Come on, let's come on. All right, let's hear from this group. Let's settle down.
This fabulous. That's our official name.
Oh, good.
There we go.
All right.
Hello, classmates. How are you? Why aren't you waving back? Wave. Thank you. Participation is important. Good job. All right. This fabulous group, that's our official name. This fabulous group decided that we are going to create a lesson for information technology, where we are teaching students about formatting in a word processor, but we're building on skills that they would have learned before, such as learning how to search on the internet. Anyway, our steps are as follows. One, as a group, they would identify a popular song. So we're calling on their knowledge of the art. And then we are going to Google the lyrics. That is, they're going to use a search engine that they would have learned about, and they would have been able to find and authenticate said lyrics. So we're building on the searching skill. Then, having identified the lyrics, they would use the copying and paste feature to take it from the internet website to the word processor. So that's building on their editing skills that they would have picked up before. Then they're going to use certain features like bold and italics and underline, change of font colors, etc., to emphasize different parts of the lyrics. So we're suggesting things like identify the nouns, identify the adjectives. So that is cross curriculum. Yes, cross curriculum. I told you we're a fabulous group. Right. So we're going to emphasize those different things. Then they're going to find a picture for those who, you know, need the visual to represent what the song is talking about, and they're going to paste that in it. And after they save the document, finally they're going to come up with a song as a group. We're going to use maybe that same song and change the lyrics to talk about what it is that we just did, we just told. And then what that means, well, that means make it right. Okay, what else do we do? Italics, and what that means. Make it lean, that kind of thing, etc., etc. And that is our class.
And everybody's going to join to follow this out?
No. We are strictly demonstrative up in here. If you want the full participatory thing, then you have to pay for that. We're at university, we're learning how to sing. So that is our.
Not even more demo.
What you want to call that? No, you only get 2 verses. I'm sorry. 2 lines. Bold and italics, yes. So it's identifying what feature was it used and what does that terminology mean. Here ended the reading. Thank you. Do I get to call on the next speaker?
Everybody's good with that one? I'll give them a hand at this gap. We're here. Let's see one of the groups. Let's see one of my other groups. Who's going to go? Dominic, are you ready?
Okay, yes. I get something.
St. Lucia, we ready?
St. Lucia is ready?
Yes.
Let's take St. Lucia then.
Okay, we have a 40-minute period. Our class form 3, subject chemistry, topic periodic table. Our objectives to memorize the first 20 elements of the periodic table in a specific order. The second objective to identify the uses of each element in the periodic table. The third objective to identify the symbols representing the first 20 elements. There are no prerequisites. The materials, a periodic table, the methods. Teacher will put up a chart with the periodic table on the board. Teacher writes the students' responses to a brainstorming activity. Then the third method, teacher will make students recite the first 20 elements. Fourth method, teacher will emphasize the importance of the order of elements on the periodic table. Fifth, teacher breaks up students into 4 groups. Each group will be given 5 elements from the periodic table. 6, students will be asked to create a song or poem emphasizing the order, symbols, and uses of the 5 elements. This will be done in 10 minutes. 7, each group will sing the song, recite the poem of the 5 elements in their order, and the class will repeat after them. The content, elements on the periodic table, our evaluation, random students will be chosen to recite the first.
Okay. So do you have an idea of the song? Can you sing a line or 2? Will you do that?
We have it on the phone.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's sing a line or 2 of the song so we can hear.
A song, but it's on the phone. I don't think you'll be able to.
No, just sing it. Don't have to. Just sing it over. Don't worry. Just get 1 or 2 of you to just sing it along. Let's listen to the song. Waiting. Just 5 of them or so. All right, after 3, 1, 2, 3.
We can't sing the song. It's actually it's recorded on the phone, not by us. It's just a song.
Oh.
We'll do an example.
But nobody can sing it. All right.
No.
All right, thank you. Give them a hand, please. Alright, so that was St. Lucia. Let's run over to, I have to take Dominica now. Is Dominica there? Bermuda? Bermuda? Okay.
Okay, the topic is photosynthesis. The objective is to learn about photosynthesis through creating a song. Next step would be to find out what photosynthesis is. Then they use technology to find the song, which they can take and rearrange the lyrics or substitute words to make it about photosynthesis. And then the end would be singing and performing the song. And hopefully we have an example for you.
You have the example?
Well, on the example, we're going to see if we can hear it when we play it.
Alright, let's hear it.
Can you see?
You can't even see it, but remember,
So you just recorded this? Huh? Okay. Alright, good. So we got a song as well. Wonderful. I'll give them a hand, please. Alright. And then we have, alright, so let's hear Dominica now.
Okay, hi. We focus on tourism, social studies, and we're looking at the subtopic tourism products in Dominica. And we said we will, well, before this lesson, the students would have done some previous research. And so in this lesson, they'll be focusing on, really they will have to identify aspects of the product festivals, and we'll also make a presentation on that. They would, well, as a teacher, I would use a stimulus material, probably show them an example of what that product will really, the expectation, so to speak, of what I would want them to achieve. Maybe look at a clipping of maybe the World Creole Festival in Dominica and really show them, hey, this is a map, so to speak, of what they have to achieve. And then I would put them in groups. Well, before that, they would have to bring the materials to class, for example, the iPads. I would ensure that we have a projector, they bring the laptops, the smartphones. I would allow them to take the smartphones because they would need to do research to find various aspects of Dominica's festival. It could be poetry, dance, music, whatever. And then I'll place them in groups and allow each group to focus on maybe a song, another group focus on a video, another group focus on dance, another group focus on drama, but really they will be focusing, as I said earlier, on Dominica's culture, different aspects of our cultural heritage, you know, and after their presentation, after the presentation, I would evaluate them based on, although I would let them know on what I'm evaluating them at first. For example, I would be looking at the name of the festival, the date of the festival. I would look at creativity, organization, clarity, etc. And so after the presentation, I would ensure that I give them feedback based on that mark scheme, so to speak. So in that way, you find the children, they wouldn't just be looking at theory, but they would get the opportunity to express themselves, to do a video, to do a dance, etc. And in that, I think they would really grasp the whole concept of festivals as it relates to Dominica and tourism. So really, they would be they would focus that activity is really to show a group of tourists what Dominica has to offer. So this, as it is expected.
Okay. All right.
So,
you would be go ahead.
Yes.
You were saying?
Now we're saying we have some famous poets like Mr. Arundel. There's a famous poem, If Dominica Could Talk. We have King Dice, you know, singing Calypso. You know, various aspects of our cultural heritage would definitely be showcased. In terms of dance, we will only focus on the Creole dances like jimping and the belle, but even the way that some revelers behave during carnival. So, you know, all these things will be displayed or illustrated and demonstrated by the children in the class.
All right.
I think it would be very exciting.
All right. So the straight up artistic class, art class,
yeah,
dealing with aspects of your culture. Very good. All right.
Yes, and some of them they will also be making their videos as well. So you see, they have to do research and do video presentation, all that.
Okay. Great. Let's take the last group. The front group, the group from Jamaica. The last group from Jamaica. Yeah, that's it. We're going to pick up. Can the camera still pick up this group?
Yes.
You know this is the camera?
Yes.
Nice. Are you? Right, good, very good.
Okay, our topic, our lesson is focused on syllables, and we just have one objective to define syllables, and we start off the lesson by asking the students to sing a song called Governor Money. So our group will perform. After two, 1, 2. Alright, so after the student perform that song, then we will ask him, do you say a word? Pick a word by saying pencil, how many sound does pencil? And I'll show you my student might give them a response by saying 1, 2, 3, and so forth, and teacher will make necessary correction and give them the correct number of sound in the word syllables, which is 2 for the word pencil. So basically after student identify that, student will then write the word of the song and then beside it they will put the number of syllables beside each word in the song. And after that, student can do a group activity by writing, making a rap of the words they name and so forth. That's a simple use to ask to incorporate.
Alright. Good. Did we give a hand to the group, last group? I give everybody give yourself a hand. Alright, the wrap up our presenter should be stepping in any time now. Let me just call and make sure he's around the corner. Just to give a little testimony of his experience. Alright, just hold 1 second, let me just make sure he's here. There you go. I see it. Alright, let me come up with you. Alright, let's see, he's got a little lot. So let me start by if you won't be long about, normally your class gets shut down about what time? 7 o'clock. So you'll be around half hour. Alright? Alright, let me just get there.
English class. It says 6:30.
Oh, wait, no, it says 6:30. When I was doing my principal, I don't even know principal of Irish Village Primary School, the big every time you go to it's just the door that the girl I'm talking about. Praise ye the Lord. Hallelujah. I'm playing a serious joke with myself.
Alright. About 2 people went out to the bathroom. Come, sir. To take us to the next half hour or so. To take us to the next half hour or so is Mr. Hugh Dowes. Mr. Dowes, we are joined by students from St. Lucia, Dominica, and Bermuda.
Alright, how are you?
Right.
Fine.
You're fine.
My fine.
I didn't hear that one.
She likes the shirt.
Oh, you like the shirt? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I know some of you have the same colors in your national costumes.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am. That's our common ground.
Alright, Mr. Downs he has a director of performing arts group in Texas. He's on many of some of the arts as an actor. He was in the movie Get Alive and about 2 other movies. He's on radio. If you listen to Radio Mona, he has a talk show. He goes, what's the title of the talk show? 96 Degrees. Every Tuesday to Friday, he's a host for 96 Degrees, 2.5 hours. And he's a student doing a PhD in cultural studies, former principal, vice principal at Calabar, and former acting principal at Calabar and at St. George's. And he's very active in the arts. Well qualified to tell you about his experiences in the arts. Give him a hand, please. About half hour he's going to be able to talk. And I'm going to take my leave.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Mango. My walking resume. Whenever I need a job, I'll just take him with me, and he will tell them everything. Arts in education. Now, many people think of the arts as the lowest level of the academic world. As a matter of fact, we are lucky as artists if people include us as academics at all. Because many times it is felt that, oh, if you can't do this or can't do that, and no, I'm not going to tell that story again. But if you can't do this or you can't do that, then maybe you can sing or draw or do something like that. Go down Emmanuel Road, get and go, pick up rock stone. Well, sing it again, I was clear. Get and go, pick up rock stone. Get and go, get one by one. Get and go, don't take two right. Get and go, don't cry. Remember, play. All right, somebody was saying, because music can go along. But when we do that, you notice what we do? Oh my Lord, what are we doing? We are becoming non-academic. We are becoming base like the natives. We are becoming lower end in our order, except when it's time to have national celebration, where we do our festivals, our national observances, or a thing called Jamaica Day. In Jamaica, we have a thing named Jamaica Day.
Last Friday in February.
It used to be once a term. One of the things that Dr. Mother didn't say to you, I'm the former director of culture and education. Jamaica Day was a part of the culture and education program. It still is. But when it was rolled out, when I became director of culture and education, it was being piloted in 200 schools. And the then director of culture, who was the boss and who I was the right hand of, said to me that, Mr. Downs, we need to pilot this somewhere. I said, look here, if we have a pilot for 4 years, at this point, we either are going to discontinue it or roll it out. And to his credit, even when he didn't fully agree with me, he allowed me to do the rollout, and we made it a national observance in all schools, to the point where nowadays it's being observed in England and all over the world. People having Jamaica Day, business places are having Jamaica Days, and so on. But one of the things that Jamaica Day is not supposed to be, Jamaica Day is not supposed to be the occasion where the arts are put on with like a song and dance, and you make sure you take out your old chamber pot or your old coal stove or some other artifact, show it off and say we are celebrating Jamaica or whatever other country that it may be applicable to. The kind of model was that you're going to look at the opportunities within the curriculum throughout the year. to see how arts and other aspects of culture can feature as a part of the lives of the students so that they can see all that they do in education, in physics, in accounts, in business, all the other areas as being relevant to who they are. And songs and dances are a part of that. So it wasn't meant to be that or the other. A lot of schools that do well in the arts and culture in Jamaica do not have the arts on the curriculum, on the formal curriculum. And the teachers or principals sometimes can even be very oppressive of the teachers who select to do these areas. As a matter of fact, there's one school, I'm thinking of two schools. One is a high school, one is an all-age school, now junior high and primary. And those two schools have distinguished themselves in festival in the arts. The principal doesn't give the money to help with buses and costumes. And yet these schools showcase, these groups showcase these schools internationally. There are two international festivals that they have represented separately, one in Florida, one in Austria. And yet, the school does not have the arts as a part of the curriculum. There's a way in which governments teach us how our priorities are set. And in our country, there is a problem with the arts in education. I presented recently at a symposium called the State of the Music Symposium held at Jampro, just around 3 weeks ago, the same weekend as Champs Weekend. And on that, the presentation I did was on music business education and its opportunity for a global reach. And the challenge that we're having with business, the business of music in Jamaica, and all the persons who are involved in the business aspect of the music in Jamaica, I will tell you that the challenge that we have is that many of our talented persons are not schooled into the idea that this is a discipline as worthy as any other. And so when they stand, and I don't know to what extent it is true in the other regions, the other territories, but I do know that there is a disconnect here between the finished product of what we call art and the school system. It's not as bad in the visual arts, but in terms of the performing arts, there is a disconnect. And even though the curricula of the CXC are addressing that, we still have a challenge where you can't find a musician who is of great note who points back at a school that made him that musician. He may be able to point back at a church where he developed his musicianship. But even the schools that do the arts in education, many times they do not specialize in developing proficient performers as a part of the intramural curriculum. But the schools that have these groups and clubs and so on, many of them have been successful even without a curriculum in sending them out. So you think of Julian Pantry, you think of Romain Virgo, and you think of persons like these who came out of all together sing. Nomads went through the festival system, and the festival system again can take credit for having a place for the showcasing of standards in these competitions. I have adjudicated the national festival in music of all types, gospel music, children's gospel. So you have a gospel song contest different from children's gospel, different from the pop song contest, different from your regular music festival where all the schools and individuals compete. And one of the things that we always have at the adjudication table as a challenge is that some of the music have competencies that are on the weighting scale. Sometimes in speaking to the teacher, we are not speaking to someone who fully understands these areas of competencies. Why? Because it's a math teacher who helps out at the church choir at church, who is in the school, realize there is no music in the school, the children need to be singing, come meet me after school, I will go and put something together. And to the credit of these teachers who are now operating outside of their specialist area, there is something done. And many of these teachers are very successful. Here's the challenge. The challenge is when you have something like an arts-based curriculum to roll out to the national situation. One of the present education officers in charge of music is a colleague of mine. There's actually only one person doing that now. They used to have two, and the two are now gone, and they don't have one. And do that math. And in doing that, there is a curriculum that is being developed, which is arts-based, which is using music as a part of how to transmit in the integration. Now we know what integration is, right? Hello? We know what integration refers to. Our friends in St. Lucia, what does integration refer to? I see that hand, white shirt. What is integration in the curriculum? Are you going to answer me? What is integration in the curriculum?
To include different things into your subject. For example, in math, you can incorporate things like singing, poems, and so on.
Right, very good. But the singing or the poems, it's very important. In math, there are some opportunities for properly integrating music in math if music is taught in the school. So, for example, you're talking about your semi-quavers and the math that goes with the time for each beat. Then that's math that you can truly apply across disciplines. But in schools, of course, your history would tell you that math and music were grouped together in the Greek Academy. So all of those things, and that's why when you look on a score, you're gonna see these fractions, right? 1/6, 1/4, all of these things, 3/4. And so there's a problem because there is not a connection, for example, with math and music. And my colleague who I mentioned a while ago, Matthew Silpart, who lectures at Michael University College, recently presented at a forum that Michael had on math for their research days. And he spoke about how mathematics and music work together. And there's another return, because if you listen to Mozart and so on, it has been found to assist with dealing with higher concepts in math. There is a way in which we, however, have othered the arts. And one of the challenges with that is that people think that simpletons do the arts. Well, as someone who has to deal with the arts and train persons in the arts, we find a lot of persons coming into my company, for example, when they audition, or if they're working on a project that I'm brought into some business house to do. And they think, oh, it's just about getting up and singing and coming down. I say, no. In the arts, all three domains are at work. Your cognitive is at work. I'm now working on one play, and I'm going to be coming out of that play to go into another one. Okay? Two major classic works. One from the Bible and one from Broadway. The script is thick. I have to learn the script. So that's the first thing. The cognitive is at work. I have to learn the script. I have to learn the blockings. Now, the blockings refer to where on the stage you stand. But it's not just about standing. You're not puppets. Or a friend of mine, Yvonne Brewster, who is a very accomplished actress and director who works out of the United Kingdom now. Yvonne says that when she started directing, she used to use bottle stoppers. And she would put them like a child playing with Dolly House, and put them here and put them here and say, okay, the actor is going to go there and the actor is going to there. No. When you have passed the cognitive stage, and the cognitive includes a deep level of comprehension of the literature, so it's all the range of what the literature class will teach you. Then you have to go into the psychomotor, because you are now going to be maneuvering in a space, and you have to interpret onto your bodies who this character is. I'm going to be playing a king in a month from now, and I'm in a process that started 3 weeks ago in how to move from being ordinary me, battering through my student life, and trying to make life go on, to becoming the head of a powerful nation. I have to start that process now. It doesn't start when I'm backstage and going on. I have to do research. I have to read everything about that individual, all the different perspectives. I have to decide which of the perspectives I'm going to bring into myself. I have to practice the walk of the king. I have to practice how he would lean his head when David is playing for him and he's jealous of David. I have to do that because it's a part of using your physical vocabulary as a part of bringing information to persons. Because you see, what you have to understand that education is not just about being able to spit out what people have said. My daughter is the GSAT winner, top GSAT winner for 2 years ago. She's the only child to have gotten full 100 marks in all the 5 years. Wow. Thank you. And I'll pass on to her too. But we give God the glory. But the point is this. She said to me about a month ago, Daddy, what is this high school thing about? She says, Daddy, they are trying to test my ability at recall. Nothing is wrong with my memory. So the point is, there are other things that are available to us, including the arts, which can start teaching intelligences which are important. Because when we have put down all of what we can spit out, how do we live it? How do we make our world a better place from our understanding of it? How do the people who don't have access to the education benefit from it? So do we get it, get puffed up, and then we're among the regular people who don't have the degrees, for example, and we show, I'm better than you, I'm better than you. Or is it that we now use what we have as agency? Me doing theater has allowed me to be able to find a walk sometimes when I walk into certain places, so that people don't feel intimidated. You're not losing yourself, but you're communicating to people via ease. I'm among you, I'm one of you. So the affective domain and the psychomotor work. When you get children to emote through the arts, you liberate them. When you get them to walk into other person's experiences, you take them from one place to another. One of the things I'm proud of is that one of the schools I taught at in Jamaica was Hillel Academy High School. I taught there for 10 years. And Hillel Academy, for those who are not in Jamaica or who are not familiar with Hillel, is a Jewish high school which caters to the high end in terms of the socioeconomic groupings in the country. When I say high end, I mean high in terms of money. Anybody can go there, but you have to have a couple $1,000, $100,000 per term to go. But it's regular, normal children like anybody else. Regular children. And that's one of the things you have to do. You have to make sure that when you go in front of the child, you see the child as a child. The child is not colored or tempered by what money might be around them, what color of their skin, what their religious group, that you see the child for the child. That's when art works best, when it's a level playing field. When the child who everybody passes by on the games field, or does it do well in the other areas, maybe, not because they're not right, but because they weren't unlocked. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by unlocked. But when that child now finds, okay, there's a role I can do and I can do well at it. I mean, for all the prizes she got, my daughter got a prize on Founders Day at the school that she's at for doing well in drama in the school. It's a prize she cherishes the most. And people don't understand. But it's part of what she has found to help her to grow into who she is. And what we did with the kids at Hillel, who come from all over the world, expatriate children, locals who live all over the world too, from varied ethnicities and experiences. I did 2 songs with these kids and took them to festival. I did, and by the way, I'm one of those teachers who's not the music teacher. I teach history, English language, English literature, civics, and I've taught principles of business. But I grew up in music. My mother was a music teacher, and you know how that works. So, and we went to festival, and we did 2 songs. One from the revival tradition. In Jamaica, the revival tradition is something like spiritual Baptists or shouters or shakers, that kind of experience. You understand that experience, right, my friends? Where we St. Lucia, Dominica, and Bermuda. So it's the religious experience, Christian based, but out of Africanness in it. You understand that experience? Amen.
Understand, yes.
Amen.
Okay, good. You must come back to me, I come from that kind of church where amen will help. All right. And these children, many of their lives, most of them, if not all of them, were removed from that experience firsthand. Maybe some of their helpers would have, been able to relate to it. And maybe 1 or 2 of them would have, because we have wealthy Jamaicans from our experience. But by and large, they were not aware of it. So we did this song, one hand can clap, say you happy have two. And the church would say, in parts, one hand for me, and another one for you. Tell it to the world, and that is a fact. That one hand alone cannot clap. And then it goes into a rhythm where you have different vocabulary, this is part of the revival vocabulary. We can all sing it properly. Right. So you have this, cut and clear. You have this thing called the regular praise the Lord, but you got dip. And when the Spirit catches you, you dip in a certain way, and you dip and you fall back too. And these forms of vocabulary come naturally to many Jamaican children. But for some of these children, some were from Egypt, some were from England, some were from Lebanon, some were from Israel, all over the world. Italy, all over the world. But they're all children in this place. And what the process of teaching them is, and one of the good things about children is that they are adaptable. So they didn't go through any long hoops to learn it as their parents may have. They adapted quickly. And they learned it, and in learning this, I didn't just teach them a song so that they would do this song. We went into the history and background of revivalism. They understood that it was 1860 and 1861 that the Great Revival in England, which the Wesley brothers were a part of, had a wave that went through Ireland and Scotland and as far as Australia and New Zealand, and naturally came to the British West Indies. And that when that now spirituality, which had a thing by revival, we're also talking about a very awesome phenomenon of supernatural power. And when you read the descriptions of the Wesleyan revival, you find that there are thousands of people in a town in England or one of the other British Isles, and there a preacher is preaching and grown men break down and weep and that kind of thing. It has a strong spiritual presence on it. And when that mixed up now with the Jamaican heavy spiritual presence that had come from Africa, you got a synergy happening. And we taught them all of this so that they understood it wasn't something that poor people do for you to laugh at, which a lot of people will do with their native culture if it is not transmitted properly to the persons who are part of that culture to receive his word. So I use that opportunity of art to bring people into a rootedness of where they were and what good they could be to this society, which has a different history than theirs, but a worthy history nonetheless. That's one of the things that art can do. Art is a portal for stimulus material to lead you right back into other places of the curriculum, making the integration worthy. I want to close before we take any questions with a short story. when I went to, and I'm going to go straight here. Normally I start off by saying, talking about this little boy and the thing of this little boy, and I tell you who this little boy was. And I'm going to do that today. I'm going to tell you that when I went to primary school, all my years from grade 1 to grade 4 were a blur, a literal blur. I can't remember much except that in grade 3, I was afraid to go to school on a Wednesday because mathematics was taught from Wednesday morning to lunchtime. And the teacher walked with a heavy strap, a belt. And if you were caught up, you were usually doomed to be strapped. And because my poor tender skin could not manage that every Wednesday morning, I started getting sick every Wednesday morning. No, good. Psychosomatic belly ache. I never made a connection. I just know that I sick on a Wednesday. But there was a part of my mind that said, you better sick on a Wednesday because if you don't, if you're not sick, you're going to go and get that. My parents, however, my mother being a teacher and my father, a sensible man. But my parents decided that something must happen on a Wednesday. There's a pattern. So they checked out the pattern, realized math happens on a Wednesday. And the long and short of it, they intervened. Grade 4 at that school, I remember crayoning a lot. Sitting at the back of the class and having a lot of paper and a lot of crayons to draw anything I want. I don't understand what was happening. I didn't until about a year ago, I had the opportunity through a government project I was working on as a consultant to meet at that school, a different school, the woman now, who was my teacher in grade 4. I asked what happened to me in grade 4. All I remember is the crayons and the paper. She says, you were fine, you were brilliant. You were just way ahead of the rest of the children. And you were much younger than they were, so you never caught on in terms of socializing with them as much. Because it was the days when teacher children went to school early. So I went to primary school at the age of 3. So you understand what was going on here. But as a child, it worked. But then they moved me to a small Catholic primary school run by the Franciscan missionary sisters in the hills of St. Catherine, a place called Cassava River. The name of the school is Cassava River Primary. The proper name is Holy Family, but nobody up here calls it Holy Family. It's Cassava River Primary. 1 grade 1, 1 grade 2, 1 grade 3 going right up. 25 children in the class. Perfect teacher-student ratio. Mixed ability. No, get me when I say this. Mixed ability. I mean, I had people in the room who could barely read, but probably were a little bit better at math. And you had, and they're just mixed ability. But one of the good things about that school, that half of my class, by the way, went to school barefooted. I don't know if any of you went to school with people barefooted. I found it such an interesting thing. They would rub coconut oil on their legs and their feet. And even on the hot asphalt, they were fine. I, of course, tried it because you don't want to stick out. And I got a whole heap of maca in my foot bottom. And maca is thorns. A lot of thorns went into my skin. But what was of very important note is that at Cassava River, they did music. They went to festival. They did speech choirs. There was a drama club. They did dance. We did gardening. We did sewing. We did art and craft. It was one of those schools where everything was done. We had a 4-H club, and because of how small the school is, well, everybody in grade 5 and 6 better come to a 4-H club and we don't have a club. So everyone was involved in everything. And the arts were what unlocked me. It made me literally wake up. It opened that side of the brain, and we don't need both sides of the brain for the whole brain to function. And it opened that side of the brain that was going on and saying, what is going on here? No one is home. And because that cross-fertilization was not happening, all the electricity wasn't flowing as it should flow. And I was not understanding cognition in the way that getting involved in the arts allowed me to do. So I use that story to kind of close off by saying, allow the arts in the institutions that you have influenced. Do not be a part of that attitude which continues to suppress the arts as the thing you take off the budget when you have no more money, because you believe it will naturally thrive and grow. The potential for Jamaica's art, music and otherwise, cannot be properly explored because we do not have people who believe that it is a worthy discipline. We don't invest in it. A lot of our youth get into Edna College, and what do our teachers go to them and say? A bright child like you should not go and waste your talent at music school. You need to go and do medicine or law or some other area that we have preference for. But a nation needs art. And a nation that understands that invests huge amounts of money and create endowments for the art. Because just like our own brain, the collective brain of the nation needs to have outlets for expression and for commentary. It needs to know that some of its intellectuals are operating in the arts. If you look at the history of great nations and their movements, and this is a great nation, don't get me wrong, and all the nations of the Caribbean are great nations. But one of the things that will allow us to step even greater is that we have among us an opportunity to examine art from a new and fresh space. And that's part of what I study in cultural studies. Cultural studies, by the way, is not about performing arts. My friend John, Becky, I forget his name, I think it's George Becker. He just defended his PhD last week on economics, in culture, the culture of economics. There's a culture in medicine, there's a culture for everything, a culture of education. And so that's what we do in the Institute of Caribbean Studies. We look at identity, we look at culture, we look at how we find ourselves. And the arts have always been a part of how we think of identity. If we get the arts to properly play a role in our schools all across the Caribbean, we will be allowing children to feel that school is more relevant to them, and the culture and the society will feel that there is a relevance to them as well. I've said a lot. I am now open for questions or comments.
Dominica? Yes, I have a question from Dominica.
Yes.
Yes. My question is, okay, shall I say, it's very difficult for me to bring music into my class because the kind of music my student like, and also the content can be difficult to bring into class.
Yes.
And to make them to be excited in class is always difficult because of the kind of music they would like to hear and the content. So how can I make them fit into the kind of music that can be okay for your class?
Okay. One of the subjects that I have taught is music. And one of the things that I did with the youth is we had a kind of understanding. Whenever we did music appreciation, they would understand that there are some songs based on the words that are in the song that are not appropriate for the classroom. But that aside, a lot of our young people's music can be listened to by anyone. And what you could do sometimes is by selecting the music that you would like to introduce to them, you have a trade-off. That, all right, you bring a song, and then I bring a song.
Make sure to the content.
Which is why I started out by saying that the songs that are appropriate for the school setting. And our children understand the appropriateness. By the way, on Sports Day every year, most of our schools have a sound system that plays music when the announcer is not announcing. It is in the interest of every teacher of every subject to know these songs. Even if we don't play them in class, be aware of what is influencing the thought of our children, be able to, when the selector turns up on at sports day, say, don't play that one, and they will say, wait, sir, you know that song too? Part of your understanding their culture is part of how they will also meet you partway. But let them know that there are some words that are not appropriate. One more thing. When I started teaching English language and literature, and this is going to date me now, but Tracy Chapman's music was very well. So you know exactly when I leave Teachers College. Right, very close. And what we did, and the National Association for Teachers of English, NATE, was headed by a lady named Doris May, a Canadian teacher who has done a lot of work in English education in Jamaica. And Doris introduced us to using the lyrics of popular songs as literature. So the students now were going through words that they know, because you know the young people know the words for all of these songs more than the times table sometimes. So if you can now bring what is in their culture into the classroom as a valid way, then that's a way to get them to come to where we want them to go. So I was able to get these children to sing "'Tis You Joy of Man's Desiring," because we also had to sing a song by Erykah Badu. So you kind of do that exchange barter, and it makes the classroom a richer place. It's not going to be easy, but find something that they all like, which is appropriate for the classroom, and start there. Any other questions? There's a question here. They're hearing you, right? No. All right, talk strong.
As regards to like sports day, as you mentioned, I've heard of students who they're just not so much interested in. They're like, oh boy, I hate math, because that's how I look.
Yes.
And they're like, I hate math, and I tried to bring some timing, I'm like, when you're going to start, they love cheerleading,
Yes.
And I'm saying, no, you have to do your little pyramid thing, and it's for 20 minutes, and you have to time out. And I was there saying, you have to use. I'm like, that's so much right there,
Yes.
And I'm saying, and she's like, I love my cheerleading. I have to be on time. And I'm saying, even cheerleading, you can direct students. You don't have to have them doing anything explicit.
Right.
And you can direct them. And I'm saying, when you go for sports day, you can actually have cheerleading as one of the sports, as a competition,
I tell you more.
Because many of the girls would like to go a little dancing and express themselves in some manner.
Exactly.
And for young boy, he said he was just so bored in his class. He was in grade 7 and he just bored. He was like, he drop asleep in class, and he was like a top student in GSAT too. And the young man just said, one man tell him to go join choir because he loved music.
Yes.
And he joined choir, and then he go performing queen and all of that, and he's like, and his mom said every evening he come home with music.
Yes.
You see?
It's a path for identity finding for our children. And sports does the same thing. But I also want to make a case for music or art in general, for art's sake, which is a part of the problem that we have, because sometimes you have to go to your principal and sell, well, if we do the music, then we have to do this, and it will have that benefit. No. We don't have to justify physics in the school, do we? Do we have to justify the teaching of math in our schools? No. Art for art's sake. The culture being is the being who will be able to do much more in our society. We are training our people to be leaders, not just to be the ones pushing the mill. If we're going to do that, we have to introduce them to a whole range of experiences and talent base. One more question from anyone? Yes. Go ahead.
You were saying that the first school, in first school, you never can on the maths, but you were in school that actually hard.
No, when I went to the next school, what happened is that because that side of me that the arts were dealing with was not unlocked, when that unlocked, I immediately started doing well in all of my academic areas, including math. What helped me is that what didn't hurt the whole setup was that the math teacher or the teacher who dealt with math, because a small school, so sometimes they will bring Sister Mariana, the principal, over to grade 5 and 6 to deal with English, and the grade 5 teacher dealt with math in both grade 5 and 6, you know, that kind of approach to teaching. And what happened, what didn't hurt is that the same man who was a math teacher was the same one who was the choir master and drama coach. So this man can't be all evil if math is evil. You understand? And eventually I started to like math and became a part of a quiz team, a 2-man quiz team that beat all the schools in the region, and math was a very heavy part of that quiz. And so I'm saying that when the arts are unlocked, the arts are like the neglected part of our education, that if we were to unlock it, apart from the benefits of art in a culture like ours, all of our cultures, the Dominican culture, the Bermudan culture, the St. Lucian culture, apart from that benefit alone, the wider benefit it has to the development of the mind, and there's a lot of writing on left and right brain development, and you can look up some of that and read, just put in left and right brain development, and you'll see a lot of stuff coming up. It alone has a great benefit to a child who feels like a round hole in a square peg because there is nothing in the school for me. What I used to do when I went to choir, some days when I went to school, and I look at the timetable of the school, I said, Lord, this is a rough day. But I have choir at the end of the day, so I can endure this day because I want to go to choir, or to drama, or to whatever it is. Sports has the same case, but we're talking about art today. Okay? If there are no other questions, thank you for